once again to Clinical Theurgy, episode 54. One away from another multiplier of 5.
Just kill us all. No, don't kill me. You can kill her if you want, if she wants.
I've been unable to kill most of you so far, so it's probably not going to happen.
That's not true. You've been unable to keep us dead.
Fair. Well,
and Goron still hasn't died. Maybe you should pick on him for a little bit.
Ivy didn't technically die either. Nor did Elizabeth. She didn't technically die.
I mean, she became very close. I don't know what shenanigans those gremlins pulled to save her mind, but she was like essentially dead.
Save her mind. That's not really what happened.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it wasn't. Like, they saved her mind from just being like nothing, but they didn't really save her mind from being sane.
Yeah. You know who really saved her mind was Levi. They literally saved it into their system.
Yep.
Yeah, they totally saved her mind from being sane.
All right. So, but I believe last session you guys got a lot of really useful information
that the stream does not have.
Yes.
So
why don't we help fill in the people that might have missed last session's information due to technical difficulties by giving them the deets from last session?
So basically, last session, Antaeus offered for us to go on a spirit journey. And he asked Niev and Gulron if they wanted to go. Zigmars wanted to go. Oh, and he asked Elizabeth as well. Gulron decided he would stay behind to guard our bodies with Ivy. Zigmars, like I said, he said he wanted to go. And Niev was like, oh, well, you can sleep in my living room. So that's kind of what we did. And when the drug took effect, we appeared in this beautiful city. We all kind of appeared the way that, like, our ideal, what we would always look like, basically. Zigmars was taller and more substantial than everyone else and totally not compensating for anything. He explains that we need to think of what knowledge we want and travel to it. Elizabeth wanted to know more about the Gremlins. So she thought about it and we started heading like towards her knowledge, and we found this strange structure. The Gremlins said that they used to cause mischief, but they were displaced by Niev's people, which I took to mean probably the Fae, not druids. Niev wanted to know more about the Feyen Empire. And so that basically after we had learned everything we could learn about the Gremlins, then Niev thought about the Feyen Empire and we started off again. She discovered that she was Fae, but she didn't want to be. She kind of wanted to be more like human or more like regular people. And every time she returned to the cycle, she got closer to what she wanted. But in doing so, she caused her sister to be cursed. Niev tried to ask more about the curse, but as she did, these armed shades appeared. We tried to run. Antaeus thought about Ivy and her sword. And so we started traveling again. And we got in front of this sapphire spire. And we met one of Ivy's relations. They said that they were stuck in the dream world, that they tried to trap the shadows there and became trapped themselves, and told us Ivy should not ever travel there. These shade things tracked us down. We tried to fight back, but we were no match for them, and one by one got sent bloodied back to the physical world.
Now, Elizabeth was definitely a match for them, but my buffs weren't working and I got cheated out of a bunch of rolls.
Goron healed us, and in the morning we all found notes on our doors saying that we need to report for our next assignment the next day. They won't send us out right away, but we'll learn more about what we're doing next. Antaeus returned home to find a shadow dog, and Zigmars explained it was created for him by the alchemists at his old place. they were using his notes. And so that was kind of where we ended off, is Antaeus got a dog.
Yeah. Antaeus got something... Antaeus got something else that chronologically didn't work out in terms of campaign sessions, but Antaeus would have also awoken with a message that he received right as he was leaving the dream realm. For a brief moment, as Antaeus kind of feels the sword cut into him, he would have heard some words saying, "Thank you for checking on me. I am well. Traveling with the Niev's old party. Miss you all. Be safe." And as he would have turned to look at where the voice was coming from, probably the very reason he was struck down, he would have seen Brianna sort of hazily fading away into the dream, into the world of dreams.
Like Brianna.
Like Brianna.
Oh, that's cool.
And then Antaeus would have awoken. But this was the night before. You can choose whether or not you share that with the party.
I would share that, especially with Niev. Well, I guess that should be that everybody would be there, but she doesn't have the thing on anymore, so it's kind of, that's not necessarily relevant anymore. But anyways, I'll kind of work that out loud as just like that, probably.
Niev would be very joyous to hear that. She'd be happy about it, as far as at least she knows that her sister and the others are okay. And she would thank Antaeus for letting her know.
You're welcome.
In the meantime, we can jump back forward to present. Antaeus reveling in his new pet. You all knowing that you have a meeting with Rian coming up. You basically kind of know what this is going to discuss. You've already been indirectly debriefed on it. And yeah, is there anything you want to do before this meeting?
Just cleaning up the blood around my house.
I'll go pick up my weapon if it's ready yet.
Yes, your weapon is ready.
Was he able to do the enchant?
I believe we agreed that yes, he would be ready to.
Okay.
He will finish the enchant.
Well, in character, he had kind of made it sound like to my character that he was unsure whether or not he could do it, and to come back in a few days, and he'd kind of let me know whether or not it was something he was able to achieve, because my weapon was weird.
Yes, he will inform you that he was able to do the enchant.
Cool.
Part of that was me having to think it over out of game.
Okay.
And how, whether or not it would work effectively. But it does. But just so you know, you have a weird wonky sword.
Yeah.
Weird wonky... regular magic you apply to a weird wonky thing might make the magic also weird and wonky by proxy.
Fun.
And he will warn you of that. He's like, it all looks to be in working order, but I can't be 100% sure if it turns out that way or not.
Okay.
There are some pretty unusual things that I noticed while I was working with that.
I don't actually know how to make that tiny little symbol to change it to a 2.
Yeah, I will take care of that.
I mean, I changed the magic bonus, but it'd just be confusing if the magic bonus is upped, but the name isn't.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I would dislike if somebody noticed that outside of the stream and then commented on it. In the meantime, anybody else have anything they want to accomplish beforehand?
Nothing for me, I don't think.
Okay.
Nothing other than trying to figure out what's going on with this dog.
The dog is very happy with you. But it does seem to, like, waver a bit. Like I explained, like, you going to pet it, you can't necessarily just kind of, like, reach out normally. It kind of, like, attaches to you as it does. Is there anything you try with the dog that would be, I don't know, like, normal interactions with dog things that you would do, or?
Yeah, I would, probably look for a book about how to train a dog, I guess.
Okay.
And try like basic things, and like probably spend my morning testing that out.
Yeah, they recommend things like treats or like buying some kind of thing for it to chase. And you will notice that first of all, it understands basically just about anything you tell it to do. Second of all, like, you throw the ball a few times and it gets the ball and it brings it back. And you notice that, like, while the dog kind of wavers back and forth, the ball always stays in, like, the same place. So even when, like, the dog's sitting in front of you with ball in its mouth, like, the ball is in one spot, but the rest of the dog is kind of, like, wavering around the ball. And in another instance, you, like, the dog starts running and you throw the ball, and the ball, like, looks like it would collide with the dog, and it just kind of, like, falls through the dog.
So it, like, hits where the dog is at and then falls, as opposed to...
It hits where the dog is at and keeps going.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like it would hit and then just like...
No.
Okay, so it just kind of like goes... Oh, that's interesting. So I'm assuming the dog kind of looks like the heat coming off the top of a car in the middle of the summer.
Yes, only the dog's whole body is kind of that way.
Yeah. It's a hot one.
But you'll notice that, like, it's not as wispy and wavy when you're out in, like, bright sunlight. In bright sunlight, a lot of that seems to be kind of muted, almost like it's reverse overheating. Like it's got wispy, wavy lines of heat in the nighttime, and is cool during the day.
It's almost like being in the darkness makes it harder to see it.
Yeah. Interesting. But one thing I need to make sure I am recalling correctly. You're on the notes, it's tomorrow that you're supposed to have the meeting with Rian, right? Because there is one thing that happens in between that and today.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if that was tonight or tomorrow night.
No, it said tomorrow on the notes we found on our door.
What I thought I remembered. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay. So the day after we went on our trip.
Yes.
Okay.
Tonight there is something that Antaeus had agreed to do.
Yes, indeed. I should probably also pick up a book on that while I'm picking up books.
I forgot about your date.
You're picking up a book on what in particular?
How to talk to people at dinner, or more carnal things. He needs a how-to book for that.
What?
I'm gonna kind of like wander around wherever, like the library or bookstore or something, and try to find it without asking anybody. Anything that falls within that range.
Of romantic encounters, of social encounters, of sexual encounters. What, like, area of this are you looking for? Like, where are you expecting this date to go?
I'd probably grab books on all of them because I need to be prepared for anything. Because I don't know what's going to happen.
Okay. So why don't you give me... What would this even be? What would you research in a library that would be...
I feel like you could maybe say knowledge local, because if you think about like local customs, social interactions, like how people in these areas normally interact in these, like a subset of local.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably pretty accurate. So yeah, we'll take the roll you got on that.
33 then for local.
Yeah. So you can find some good books on this, and I will give you a circumstantial +2 on all the checks for this particular social interaction. You can later on that evening meet with her at the arranged location. A place that's relatively like sort of calm and collected and quiet, not fancy, but not, I don't know, not overly casual.
Okay. I will overanalyze that, as I will.
Yes.
As I am wont to do.
And what is Antaeus wearing for this occasion?
Probably the fancier of my two suits.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, wait. Actually, this place is. You said it's kind of casual, right?
It's in between.
Okay. Then I would probably wear my less fancy of the two suits. Which
are you?
They were both pretty expensive.
Okay.
So I remember, like, I remember initially I had bought like a suit that was relatively expensive, and then, so I don't remember what they were, but I remember I spent extra on it.
Well, there was probably like the one you got for Elizabeth's coronation. I think was the first time people got like kind of fancy stuff.
Yeah, that's the first one that I had bought. And I had the little pocket square that went with it.
She will be wearing something that is... How do I put this? It's a little modest. It's like a bit of a like flowy style kind of darker tinted dress. Probably purple or blue or somewhere around that range, but tinted so deeply it's very hard to tell.
Especially
in the evening. Yeah. But the thing that I guess would probably surprise you, it is a surprisingly low cut dress. Like, it is very covering in a lot of ways. Like, it is a full length dress. But it is cut much lower than you have seen out of anything you've seen her wear any other circumstance. She has a necklace that she wears with a pendant, like a little tiny holy symbol of the crown and the crown of light kind of floating, the symbol of Suino that you would know that she aligns with. And her hair is sort of not in that kind of like up in like tied in a place, not necessarily frantically, but sort of in a way that you need a way to care for to keep your hair in place. A ponytail might seem a little bit too casual, but
like a messy bun? Like a messy bun?
No, less of a messy bun and more like pinned in place in a lot of places with a lot of like the I don't want to call them chopsticks because that's not what they are, but what do they call that?
You're talking about bobby pins?
No, the long hair picks. Like you would see typically in I think it's Japanese and Chinese culture more predominantly.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and they do look like chopsticks, but it seems racist to call them that.
Yeah, but like she like twists her hair around them and kind of like pins her hair in different ways, so it has like a kind of like clean messiness to it. But laid down, it is very clear like that a lot of care and time has been put into making sure her hair is kind of resting in the right way, at a little below her shoulders. I believe this is good. Yeah, you look nice. Good.
Oh, thank you. So do you.
Thanks.
That looks fine. I don't know how else to look.
Yeah, I figure, but I was reading, you're supposed to be nice for this kind of thing, and you're supposed to dress nicer the more that you like the person, so you dress in line.
Almost, never mind. I was gonna click acknowledge, and I'm like, that's not architecture.
You don't have any ranks in fashion.
How about knowledge romance?
Is nobility romance or the planes?
No.
Planes.
The plane of romance. That's a thing, right?
I don't know if I have most of this stuff right. There was a lot to read.
Yes. Yes, there was.
Well, shall we go to our seats?
Oh, yes, of course.
I put in a reservation. Hopefully we're good. The two of you can will be escorted to your table. You can both take a seat. So, how have you been?
As we're going to the sea, I'm gonna kind of look around and survey the area.
Yeah, you'll notice it is. At the time you're there, it's a little bit early, so there's not as many people here as this place probably normally pulls in. And you're kept at a table that's a little away from the rest of the people here. And as you sit down, she'll kind of notice that you were looking about, and she'll explain to you, I tried to get us a place that's a little away from everybody. If you don't mind, I said you were sick, and so it would be not bad sick, like we would get people infected sick, but people might freak out if they hear you coughing a little bit, so maybe every once in a while soft cough when the waiter comes by.
Yes, that way we were able to get this secluded area over here.
Yeah, well, we said we were going to talk about some stuff, and I don't know, I hope that's okay. I hope I didn't.
Yes, it's a great idea, actually.
Okay. Whew. That's a relief.
Oh?
Well, I don't know. I made a decision without asking you about it, and I didn't know if that might bother you. I know from some of what I was reading, it says something about the man is supposed to lead or something like that and should be making the arrangements, but I don't know that I really subscribe to that kind of thing.
Yeah, that seems a bit antiquated, I would say.
I would like to think so, but I wasn't sure. There's a lot of stuff, and some of it repeated in other books, so you never really know.
Yes, and then if you cross-reference it and see things that are repeated multiple times, it seems to be the norm.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, should we, I don't know, do the thing we're supposed to do first, or do you want to just get right down to business?
I'm gonna try to remember what the thing is that we're supposed to do first. Did I get that far in that book?
Yeah, so this would be small talk, chatting, asking about her day, other things, listening to her. For a lot of the stuff you were reading, it's let her talk and you do a lot more listening.
Okay. Active listening.
Yes. Respond with things that let her know that you are hearing what she says and that you care about the things that she's saying.
Demonstrate
I
values.
love how I'm saying this is it's condescending, but this is actually stuff that I believe in and wish I were better at as a human being.
Yeah, you gotta demonstrate values, the value of listening.
We are not Dennis-isting this NPC.
Good, stop me before we get to the second step. So, yeah, I've been doing alright, I suppose. Things last night didn't go quite as I was expecting, but we all made it back in one piece. How have you been?
I've been bored, honestly. There's not a lot going on right now. At least not a lot that people are talking about.
I'm probably making an uncomfortable amount of eye contact to try to make sure that it's known that I'm I was about to say engaging, that I'm engaging in the conversation.
Yeah, and I feel like on the opposite side, her eyes are kind of darting all over the place. You would know that, like, if she read some of what you read, she will probably play hard to get, and that involves, like, not being overly engaging. So, the experience, what actually happened during it?
Oh, we... 1 second. Dog clawing at my door.
Oh, such a sad pupper.
What you want?
Such a sad immersion-breaking bitch
good
dog.
shadow pupper.
Hey, wait, doesn't he have a dog? Or just say he brought it with him?
They don't allow dogs in this establishment.
Yeah, most
Well,
restaurants
that's why
don't
he
allow
came in and he had
dogs
to deal with
unless
it.
they're like service dogs.
That's a good thought. Damn it, John. See?
Here you go, my emotional support puppy.
Oh, does that let you not have to wear your mask into places?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I don't have to bring proof that she's an emotional support dog either.
You can just get one of those vests from Amazon. Don't do that.
No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to dissuade you from doing it, though.
Sorry your dog followed you, and what were you saying about the experience? Something strange?
Yes, it was odd. We went to a place where we had avatars, effectively, of ourselves. It was Sigmar and me and Elizabeth and Yev. And then we went and looked into a few bits of information, and there were some guards and shadowy figures that large swords that were following us. And the more rare the knowledge, it seemed that they would get closer faster, or something to that effect. I might have been misreading the situation.
That sounds downright terrifying. Did you know this was going to happen?
Not so much. Not exactly. We found that out pretty shortly after we went in there. And then we started looking for some more information about Ivy Phelps and her family. And then they came closer, and unfortunately we woke up before we were killed in the dream, but...
You could die in the dream? You don't, die for real, right? You just wake up?
From what I've been told. But there's ways to lure yourself out of it, so to speak.
Wow.
So...
That's very scary. I can't imagine. I don't think I could do something like that.
Why not?
Putting my life in that kind of danger just for knowledge? Knowledge is wonderful, and I think there should be more of it. I think there should be so much more of it. I find that the library doesn't contain enough, and at times there's just never enough knowledge, but to risk life and limb for it, I don't know that I could bring myself to it.
That's fair. Yeah, I suppose I was curious as to how the whole thing would go down. I think that if we were to ever do it again, we have a better understanding of how to avoid situation that would put us in near certain death.
Well, that's good. I'd hate to find out that one of my best customers is suddenly dead, and she'll kind of do a little push on your shoulder.
Uh-oh.
That's not what you're trying to recall from the book. So you would know that physical interaction is usually a sign that things are going well.
I'll do my best to ignore my
disinterest for being touched.
Well, no, my initial response to when things try to touch me to kind of like pull away.
Back. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the word, not subconscious, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like
sort of acting on impulse.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
So, refresh my memory, but when you came in, there was something specific you wanted to talk about.
Yes. I am forgetting at the moment what it was.
Yes, and to be fair, the stress has kind of wiped it from me as well. I spent so much time reading, I forgot much of the rest of anything else. Does anyone want to help Antaeus' intelligence score?
Oh, yes, I am definitely forgetting this.
All I remember is you were doing these things after talk. You went and talked to like the Amalg guy, and it was like, and then you went and talked to her.
Yeah, I remember that because that was more of like me trying to make sure that if I ended up disappearing, that people would know where I was at. Because I had no idea what to expect going into that.
I thought you had something very specific though, because I thought part of this led up to like you did some awkward things that made her think that you wanted to date her, but also you had some like private stuff it seemed like you wanted to talk to her about.
I'm pretty sure you're right, but I can't remember offhand what it was, and it's bothering me.
Yeah, and I don't think I put it in my notes for this.
Yeah, I'm looking at mine too, and I don't see it. So
this would have probably been about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because it would have been, yeah.
What would have been the equivalent of like 3 weeks ago since last time we played. So it makes sense that we're all kind of blanking on what it was about.
My notes are never good. I have like 6 lines of notes, and half of them I'm like, why the fuck did I write this down?
Well, if you can't remember, that's okay. You'll probably remember at some point later on in the evening, or maybe, I don't know, another day. We can always talk about it another time. I did want to let you know about some things though that at least, I don't know, that seem kind of adjacent to stuff that you've come in about.
Yes.
And other people have come in about with regard to you.
Oh.
You know the laws about scrying, right? I'm assuming you do. You're a very knowledgeable person.
Yes, it's an illegal act unless you have explicit written permission from the MLB. Damn it. Yes, unless you have the authorization, it's illegal.
Well, so somebody came in asking about very specific things, and they had the right paperwork in place, but your name was on something they had inadvertently slipped on. But they were definitely buying supplies for watching you.
You said they had some sort of written documentation?
Yes, they had. In order to buy certain things, you have to have certain qualifications, and so he had the right qualifications, but the strange part was I can't remember his name, and I can't find it in any of my documents.
Interesting.
It's the most peculiar thing. It's like it was erased.
I wonder. kind of fiddle around with my bag of holding real quick, and I'll pull out the memory sharing item, and I'll kind of like look at her and see how she responds to that.
We could try. If I can't find it, I'm worried maybe you won't be able to, but...
Yes, my concern is, well, I wouldn't want to do this and have anything happen if the person intentionally removed their name from your memories. But I don't know exactly what would happen.
Well, it's up to you. I know you're a very brave person, and if you're willing to do this, I will do this with you.
I mean, I wouldn't want to put you in any danger, but I am interested. At least what the rest of the note said. I might be able to piece things together, perhaps, if I knew that much.
Well, I trust you, Antaeus.
Just, do you... Well, I guess, if you're thinking about it, I'm assuming the name was on the note somewhere, but it's probably foggy to some degree.
When I think about the note, I can't recall seeing the name. You know how you can't really focus in a memory, you can only see what you could remember. And
yes. When
I've tried to use spells to go back to that, I can't adjust my vision in that direction. Almost like that wasn't ever there. And when I check my notes, it's like they never visited. But the inventory is gone. I specifically wrote it out of inventory. The information in my register has the components missing like it's supposed to, but they're signed out to a missing name.
Yes, we could try this if you'd like. I also have something else that I might be able to do, but that is a little bit more dangerous and less ideal. But yeah, so we can test this out if it's not too much to ask.
Go ahead.
I'll kind of I guess I'll just kind of hand it to her under the table or something. I don't know if we're trying to be inconspicuous about this.
No, you guys can just do it. You're real. It's kind of private. People aren't really bothering you, and you can share her memory. You will change the music up really quick.
I guess while I'm doing this, I'll attempt to see if I can see the name, unless I know for a fact that will cause some sort of distress.
You will.
And if I know that it'll cause some distress, I'll try to actively avoid looking directly at the name.
You will be there at the desk, watching as a rather young, sort of elven in appearance man walks through the door. You are in her memory right now. He will kind of wander up to the table, and he'll start spewing off a few items that he's looking to buy. I need one.
Is there anything that's distinguishable about them, like an item that they're carrying, or any kind of markings or features?
They are wearing a long, kind of reddish black flowing cloak. They have a hood, but it's kind of pulled back just enough, but it kind of hangs in a way that the hood shouldn't really be able to hang. Almost as if it could be pulled up much faster because of the way it's sitting. And maybe there's something thicker in there that kind of keeps it elevated a bit. I guess I don't know if that would be the correct one or not. Looking at this, you'd know that the cloak is definitely magical. It has a bit of a scintillating effect on it. and it seems to sort of absorb a bit of light as the light kind of interacts with it. A little hard to do without having kind of a more in-depth interaction, but you assume this has probably got some sort of effect that will either create some kind of concealment or some ability of like keeping the figure out of touch.
All right. Yeah, I was just trying to find like nail it down to like a school or like something like more researchable than just magic.
The figure will kind of walk forward. Their face rather somewhat pale for an elf, but not excessively pale. A little hint of blue, though, fills their cheeks as they make their way to the desk, asking for the things that they ask for. You'll notice that one of them happens to be a very pricey piece of mirrored glass.
Does he touch any of the things?
She's like kind of getting them together, and like as she's getting them together, she's writing things down, and she gets to that like one item, and then she like sets the book down and turns and says, "I'll need to see validation, please." And he'll fumble around, and doing this, like he pulls a handful of papers from his pocket, and grabs one of them and hands it to her. And while this is happening, give me a perception check. This is where you'll see what she sees, that there is and your name scrawled on one of the pieces of paper as he hands over the document. But the other thing that you'll notice that she doesn't is that he takes a second look at the papers afterwards and then kind of watches her actions, watches her sort of write things down, and give me one more perception check. You will hear the words Kratos as you'll wake up from the memory, remembering nothing that we just talked about. What did you see?
Don't remember.
At all?
No, do you?
This was about the man, right? He bought something from the store?
Yes. Probably. You do remember him coming in still, though, right?
I remember there was somebody that came in, and I was going to share the story with you because it was weird, because I couldn't remember something about it, but now I almost can't remember it at all. Yeah, so with the Knowledge Arcana, there are ways to make somebody forget something. It would be very difficult to embed a forget spell inside of another spell, but not entirely unheard of if you were powerful enough. So rumor is that in a faraway country, in one of the countries far beyond the barrier, there was a very powerful lich that was able to manipulate magic, and he could kind of write spells that affected other spells from inside of the spells themselves. So like a contingency, but a contingency that can ride on the back of a spell and not on a person or a thing. So like if the spell arrives at its destination or something happens with the spell, it kind of like does its thing. And it was believed that it could be even so much so as if a specific trigger within the spell during the spell's duration happens, then that thing could happen. So this is how he did what started to be referred to as Arcane Manipulation. Being able to take spells and change the variables that exist within them. So, for example, someone might be scrying on something, and they would see something very, very different than what is actually going on in that place. And not just illusory different. literally seeing the actual actions of something from a different location in that place, to a point that if they sent a message, it would go there, but the scrying itself, when traced, would resolve back to where it was supposed to have originated from.
Does this at all sound like what happened to me when I did the thing with the shard? Why am I blanking on it? Why am I blanking on this so hard right now?
It's okay. There's a lot going on.
Not Piranha. It's the thing, and I've had it, and I don't know why I can't remember the occult skill. It's the specific one that I needed a feat for before. Which one is it?
Are you talking about psychometry?
Yes, thank you. Is this at all similar to the what I remember of the vision that I had in that?
Maybe in some ways, but what you're thinking of is also quite a bit different. That seemed to be some weird manipulation of time magic in the way that you were experiencing a memory, and then they seem to allude in that memory that they were planning for you to be at that time in that specific place.
So they made preparations ahead of time for that.
Yes. Whereas in this particular case, this would be somebody embedding something in something they expect to happen in another spell later on, that would affect the person who is sort of the caster of the spell, or the participant of the spell. I don't know why. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to ask if you've ever heard of Arcane Manipulation.
There's that weird lich, right, that started at some kind of amusement park?
Yeah, something like that. Sorry, I thought you said amusement park for a second.
No, that's notes that I didn't really enjoy reading.
Yeah, that was bizarre to say the least. I thought that was fictional.
I hope it was fictional.
So do I. It's very bizarre. But this might be something of that nature, potentially.
You think that maybe we shared the memory and then the memory wiped the memory out of us?
My assumption is that it would be some kind of protection for exactly this kind of instance. If somebody were to try to remember it or spread the information with the memory, then the message would implode, so to speak.
Do you think they would know then? Do they now know that I tried to share it with you? Am I in danger?
My assumption is that they wouldn't know, but it would be a protection in the possibility that you did, or if you tried to look into what was going on more. Because I don't recall anything of it. And you're saying that you barely remember it now, correct?
It's very hazy. It feels almost like a dream that I've been awake for too long from.
Interesting.
I'm really nervous. Do you think I could stay with you tonight?
Sure.
Did I do that right?
Do what right?
Well, you're supposed to line the things up and then find the opportunity and yeah, you kind of remember being able to sort of offer.
You read the same books as you did.
Yeah.
I suppose as long as you're not allergic to dogs or shadows.
Why would somebody be allergic to shadows?
Well, I think at this point you would know whether or not you were allergic to shadows.
Wouldn't I then be
or at least
allergic
I
to
would
myself?
Know. No, I think at this point I would be able to tell whether or not you're allergic to shadows. I suppose. Did I tell you about that? Probably not.
I'm confused.
But yes, you can stay the night if you'd like. But my business partner, he brought me something that he had some people working on for me. A shadow mastiff, I believe it is. Seems friendly.
A shadow dog?
Yes.
That sounds both scary and quite interesting.
Yes, he's quite fascinating. I haven't shown him to anybody else yet, so I don't believe that he seems to follow commands fairly well, so I don't think that anything would happen, but I figured I would mention it so that way you're not caught off guard by it.
Well, I'm excited to meet him. Let's finish up the meal and we can go, you can introduce me.
Certainly.
You guys can enjoy the rest of the evening together, with awkward conversation and attempts to kind of make the date go right according to what a date is supposed to be.
And lots of mental referencing to the books that I, probably only read, third of each of them.
Yep. And she will do a lot of the same. And you will, by the end of the night, realize that both of you read a lot of the same material. And probably got to about the same points in a lot of the same material.
Well, that's good, because I probably jumped around from chapter to chapter.
Well, who wouldn't? You gotta find the things that feel most relevant to you.
Well, I see something in this book about something, and I'm like, I don't fully understand this concept, but this book has a chapter on this, so I jump to this book, read about that there, and then keep on bouncing back and forth between things, and yeah.
Does Antaeus have harlot sweets with him?
That's a good question, probably. If not, I can bleed all over the place and make some. I think that's how you're supposed to describe that. I probably do. I think I made some not too long ago. Yeah, yes, I do have a couple.
It would be a little late to be using them now.
That's true.
I mean, maybe it makes the night go better. Who knows?
There are other drugs he could use to make the night go better.
Bachelor snuff?
I don't actually use that. But yes, that's bachelor snuff. That's to induce impotency.
Oh my god! What the hell is this stuff?
It's self-induced impotency. Oh, yeah. Very apt name.
These drugs are weird as hell.
And can Antaeus make I don't know, Viagra or Cialis or anything? I don't know if he needs that.
Cialis.
No. I think that whole exchange would be a very, very interesting thing. Vigilance.
Is that not what that does?
And I think that certain terms of service don't allow us to get too deep into the nitty-gritty of that. Although there is some discussion I would like to have about what that would be like, especially if you had the ability to share memories with each other during things. But that's a whole conversation for another website. For now, we will move into the next day. The four of you can arise in the morning. Some of you alone, some of you not so alone.
Never alone. I have Hunter.
Yes. The question I would have is, when you awaken Antaeus, is there anything do you try to wake up earlier or later than usual? Or do you wake up at your usual time?
Is there anything that we have planned for this morning? I don't think so, right?
You're supposed to see Rian during the day.
Now, if I woke up at my normal time, would that still allow for me to be prepared for that?
Yes.
Okay. I assumed that I would try to wake up I wouldn't like actively think about waking up at the different time that I did before, but I don't know how well that would actually work.
Okay. You can wake up at about normal time, and there will be breakfast ready for you.
Oh, thank
Aww.
you. You didn't have to do that.
I insist. It just seemed like the right thing to do. Who doesn't like breakfast?
Heathens, probably.
I imagine.
Speaking of, does the dog like breakfast?
The dog likes eating things.
I'm assuming he's very excited and probably near the kitchen when she's cooking breakfast.
Yes, and the weird thing is he keeps licking the shadows of like the pan or like various food that's like sitting on the counter. And the light is kind of reflecting it onto the floor, and like you'll see like he's come over and he's like licking the shadow. And as he licks the shadow, his shadow kind of melds a little bit with the shadow.
Is he like licking the shadows of everything?
No, he's licking the shadows of food things.
Yeah. Did the food look to be affected in any way?
No. But the shadow looks to be a little bit affected. There's like a little bit of like the refraction that you would see from like light hitting saliva, but it's like kind of weird because it's like I don't know if you've seen it, but like when water drops the right way in front of light, it can actually create its own shadow, and so it's like the kind of the shadow drips. So it drips in a very weird, not in line with traditional reality kind of way.
Interesting.
This will be efficient. You can buy meat for Hunter, and the shadow dog can have the shadow of the meat.
Good point. I will kind of nudge and like gesture towards it, towards the shadow as he's doing it. Didn't expect that. Yes, good boy. I think that's what I'm supposed to tell him.
Is there something wrong? Like, I was trying to pet him earlier, and only about half the time I tried to put my hand on his head was I able to touch him.
Oh, I'll just like kind of rattle off details about shadow mastiffs that I know. I don't remember how much information I actually did get when I rolled that, but
you have enough to know that, like, to ordinary people, touching him is probably a little bit different if it's not like bright daylight conditions, because his body is kind of like amorphous in terms of like sort of being in line with what people can see in less than stellar lighting conditions.
Like a displacer beast.
Yes, but in some ways more effective, and in some ways less.
Yeah, I'll just kind of let her know the things that I know about this.
He's a fascinating little creature.
Yes, he is. He seems very happy and I don't know, very, very interesting.
He does a weird thing though. When I was giving him some of the food to try, and he would. You notice the licking the shadow thing, right?
Yes, it was very odd, to say the least.
He still eats the regular food though. But it's like he can taste or smell the shadow, but he can't seem to eat the shadow.
That's probably good. That's probably a good thing. That seems dangerous.
Yeah, I don't know. And this is like the moment that it kind of hits her. Wait. Where's your shadow?
Ah, yes. That minor detail. Remember how I mentioned the being allergic to shadow thing?
Yes, it was an odd thing to say.
Well, yes, if the information that I've received is true, then I am apparently a shadow. Or some part shadow, at least.
Like your dog.
Yes, actually, that explains quite a bit.
This has been a very interesting 24 hours. I hope you enjoy breakfast. And she starts gathering up her things. I need to think about this.
Fair enough.
It was nice, and I don't want to give you the wrong idea, but this is all a lot.
That's fair. If I recall what it was that I was going to ask you, is it okay for me to come by at some point and before we leave and discuss it?
Yeah, I'm sure it is, as long as you don't make me forget about it somehow.
That wasn't me.
I know.
Oh, that's fair.
I'm a little panicked. Okay, it's weird.
That's fine. I just didn't want you to think that I had anything to do with that.
I don't. Everything seems a little weird now.
Understandable.
Well, goodbye.
Goodbye.
She'll head off.
Yeah, I don't know if I should open the door or I'll start walking and...
Yeah, she's kind of as you walk, she'll walk a little bit faster.
Okay, and then I'll just kind of awkwardly stop and...
Yeah, and then she'll take her leave. So, the rest of you can meet up not too long after that.
Does Hunter react at all to his dog?
Well, I was going to ask, is Antaeus bringing along his new dog?
He doesn't seem to like when I leave him by himself, does he?
No, not at all. It's almost like this thing feels connected to you somehow. And when you're away, even when you were leaving for dinner, it was whimpering really badly, and it almost sounded as if it was in a little bit of pain.
I suppose, especially if it's in pain, I would want to keep it near to me as possible. I suppose I'd survey the area to make sure nothing nefarious is going on as I go over to Niev's.
Yeah. You can head over to Niev's, knock at the door, and you're probably awake enough that in the right timing. So Niev.
I will answer my door and be very surprised at the sight of Antaeus and a dog. Oh, you got a dog?
Yes, Zigmar's had it delivered to my house after the events the other night.
Wow, well...
He doesn't seem to like being too far away from me. It seems to be in pain to some degree.
Oh. Is there a knowledge check? I mean, I would assume maybe
the planes.
Okay, knowledge
Shadow
disciplines.
Mastiff.
I don't have it,
okay.
So I don't know anything.
You recognize the dog as being a Mastiff, and Antaeus says it's a Shadow Mastiff.
Well, I know that Hunter doesn't like being away from me, so it just maybe bonded to you.
Speaking of which, I'll kind of look and see if Hunter's nearby.
I'll call him. I'll say, Hunter, come here.
Yeah, Hunter will come over, and Hunter will at first look at this dog and kind of growl softly at it.
I'll make sure to bring him some of the leftover breakfast.
Okay. Hunter still growls a little bit and does sniffs towards the Shadow Mastiff, and then the sniffs immediately make Hunter look up at you.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'll reassure Hunter. I'll be like, it's okay. This is just a new friend.
Speaking of, how is the Mastiff responding to Hunter?
The Mastiff is just yeah, whatever. This is what dogs do, and just kind of sitting there.
Dopey,
No, not dopey.
Oh.
Just sort of under control, calm and just expecting, almost as if. Give me sort of a gauge here, actually.
Uh-oh.
I think both of you can give me a gauge since this affects both of you.
Perfect. That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah. So Antaeus is a little looking at it a little weirdly, and you'll notice the dog has that kind of look like a soldier when something completely unintimidating just tried to threaten it. The Mastiff is just like, yup, this is what you do. This is what I'm supposed to do.
I'll just be like, well, he's well trained.
Yes, he appears to be. I suppose that's good.
Well, I'm sure they'll get used to one another in time. Hunter more than what's your dog's name?
That's a good question.
You've just been calling him "Hey you." That's not very nice.
As Niev asks that, the dog tilts its head and looks up at you, and just starts staring at you.
Do you have a name? It's never responded to me in language before. I don't know why I would expect it to do that now. I suppose we'll need to work on that.
The dog lets out like a, oh.
Well, I don't want to give you a name that you don't like.
Do you know the gender, or you could give it a gender-neutral name?
Do shadows have genders?
I mean, shadows have presumably the gender that their shadow had, but no one's really sure. No one's really had a conversation with shadows before.
Does Antaeus have a gender? Just out of curiosity.
That's a good question. Does Antaeus have a gender?
That's not my decision to make.
I didn't know if that was a thing. A byproduct.
You have the biological parts, but is that because you're like a shadow in a physical body, or is that because like you're the shadow of somebody who has a physical body?
God, this got really philosophical all of a sudden.
I'll just ask him. I'll just ask the dog. Are you a boy? Or a girl? Roll over?
It rolls over.
What's it working with?
I
mean, I think that it'd be fairly obvious to whether or not it has certain parts.
Let me ask you a question. Does Antaeus have any personal desire for it to be one or the other?
Nope.
Okay. So right now you will find no parts.
Oh, well, it doesn't appear to be a boy at the least. I'm not sure what to make of this information, though. But yes, a gender-neutral name would probably be a good idea. I don't want to call you something that you won't like, though. Her? Chewy?
Fluffy?
He doesn't look very fluffy, does he?
Just go super cliche and name it Shadow.
Oh.
How about Hooch?
I assume by this point the others are probably like starting to head out of their houses to head to this meeting. And so Ivy and Gulran can notice Antaeus and Niev chatting out in front of Niev's home with now a pair of dogs. Well, a wolf and a dog.
We should go stay with Jaxley again. He'd love it.
He's probably allergic to shadows. Oh, perfect. Guess this is a good opportunity to introduce you guys to my Shadow Mastiff. I'll kind of go to pet him a little bit.
As it barks, can I get a will save from everybody?
Oh my. Okay.
Uh-oh. Good.
Yeah, for a moment, some of you start to feel like a bit nervous around the dog, but that kind of like subsides. Antaeus, you feel a sense of fear for the dog, but also like it's yours, and you know it responds to you. So there's kind of like this weird internal kind of conundrum that happens where it's like, I'm afraid of this, but I could tell it to like die and it would do so probably. And maybe like some of that turns into like a sort of existential fear, like, oh, wait, could I tell this thing to die? If I said die, would it, if it's engineered, would it die? Could I kill it by accident?
I'll try to derail my thoughts onto some other aspect of it.
It'll take you a few seconds, like around 12, to kind of clear up that thought process.
That's fair. Because I'm assuming that my brain would kind of be all over the place, but I'll kind of try to like steer it into a different direction to go down a different rabbit hole than that.
Yeah. But mechanically, you will know that you were mentally panicking for that 12 seconds. And you would realize, like, this is an effect of something that the Mastiff can do.
I'll kind of think to it, did you do that?
It does not reply in any way.
Okay. That's what I figured. I would give it a shot.
What happens if Antaeus wants it to speak with him? Like if he actually wants the dog to speak with him?
Well, he appears to understand Common, at the very least.
Oh.
But you can't speak Common, can you?
Oh.
The sad noise, I'm assuming, means no.
It almost sounded like it was no.
Yeah, that does not give you access to speak with dog.
Well,
but
was
you
more like
yes
and no.
You are very sure. Like those sounds are either extremely coincidental or they are as close as something can like kind of say something without having the proper vocal capacity to do so.
And also because I have 11 ranks in linguistics and I wanted to use them on something. But yes. Still haven't figured out a name. Any suggestions? If anybody has anything, please let me know. But
I didn't realize you were getting an animal companion too. Is this gonna be joining us in combat?
Does the dog seem to respond at all when he says something about combat?
It like stands proud when asked about combat.
That kind of goes with what Niev was saying earlier, I suppose. I'm assuming that you mentioned something about that when he went up to Hunter. That was so long ago, I don't remember.
Just so you know, I'm not specialized in keeping animals alive, but I'll do my best to keep you all alive.
Well, he appears to be a shadow.
A shadow?
Shadow Mastiff, yes, specifically. So, as far as I can tell, it should react the same way to healing and stuff that I do, as far as I know. But that sounds like a yes, probably. It sounds less sad than the other one, so. But we can figure that out later. Hopefully there won't be any combat in our meeting with Rian.
Yes. Did Antaeus tell us about that he was going on a date? I don't remember if he did or not.
I don't remember him saying it at all. So
okay, I was just gonna say if he did, I would have asked, but
I don't recall saying it, but I'm sure that I'd bring it up at some point.
I mean, Niev's the kind of person that would, ask about those things if she knew about it. So
yeah.
Well, we can see how that conversation would go if you decide to have it on the way to see Rian after a short break. Be back.
Sounds good.
And
So
we're
we're like,
back.
Oh, okay. Well done.
Ryan, just so you know, I suggested a gender-neutral name in the Discord.
That is
Is it
not a
Jaxley?
gender-neutral name.
I'm guessing it's Jaxley.
It's not.
Let's see, Discord.
Ryan can't figure out how the Discord works. Anyway,
Gender-neutral name's Ryan.
moving on. You all
Thanks.
arrive at the ministry offices. Let me bring us over. I forgot how to use Roll20 for a second there. That's awesome. Good job.
You know what? It's been so long since we've had combat. I think I've forgotten how to play this character.
Excellent. This is exactly what I was hoping for.
Which one?
Oh god. I know, like which character?
Oh,
I have
God.
2. Are you making fun of me?
what?
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 There it is.
What was that?
I don't know.
Was there anything that you were discussing on the way to the ministry?
Yeah, just kind of like, see what's going on, see how people are doing, see if anybody's been up to anything fun the last couple days.
Well, last day, because it's just been a day.
That's fair. No residual effects of taking drugs that put you into a dream state.
Nia will just kind of say simply, just cleaning the blood off my floor. It's not a
Cool.
party if it doesn't end in blood, apparently.
Valid point.
I should get something to, like, a cloth to lay down so that, it doesn't just get directly on the floor now.
just bringing like the plastic. And have you just set up
pads.
like a Dexter kill room.
So yeah,
What have you been up to, Antaeus?
I'll just kind of casually mention it, be cash about it, Nothing that Antaeus is known for.
I feel like Antaeus would try to be casual and it wouldn't be casual at all.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a big deal. Yes. I don't remember if I have her name down in my notes.
You forgot her name? Oh my gosh, this poor
Damn.
girl.
That's not fair.
you tell her in the morning after everything happens that you're a shadow. You didn't want to ruin the deal, so you made sure.
That's not what happened, Steve. You virtue signaling bastard. That's probably what that means, right? Stolen valor or something. That's not at all what that is. I think I'm losing my mind.
I did find her name, and I forgot how difficult to say her name is.
Oh.
Marjolaine Chabonnet.
Oh. Is she an elf?
She does appear to be elven.
That's probably why Antaeus wanted to blink her.
Whoa.
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
I mean, I'm an elf. If Antaeus
You're
was
mocking
just
me.
interested in elves, then I'm right here.
I'll have you know,
Whoa.
elves have only the
What's
most
happening?
refined and dignified of sexual encounters.
I'm
Oh my
sure.
The entire time I had my pinky out.
I'm glad
I'm just
somebody else
imagine
thought
this
it.
like the quickest,
Yes.
most very like minimal encounter ever.
Yes, they have sex in the missionary position for the sole purpose of procreation.
Yeah.
You just lie back and think of the elven lands.
All right, I don't want to get deplatformed, so we need to stop this before it goes anywhere.
Anyway,
Oh,
so
God.
Steve,
Yes,
do you
yes.
mind typing out her name so I can actually just put it in my notes?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Imagine he was like, no.
Do not stop.
What did you do?
You thought of the Elven lands. That happens really quick when they do.
Yes, I believe I'm reaching climax.
Oh my gosh.
Tell me more.
There's no more to tell.
It's over. It's done. They finished.
Too stressed out.
Are you pregnant now?
Are you having my child?
I think you're making a lot of assumptions on how that finishes, Steve.
Are we done? Are we done here?
Is there a
For
detect?
the next 9 months.
Is there a detect pregnancy spell? And also, how long is the gestation period of an elf? Because it might not be 9 months.
True. Maybe it's longer.
Everything about elves takes longer.
You guys are assuming that shadows can even.
Oh, just
procreate.
takes longer? Isn't longer?
Just
Hey, I'm a
takes
shadow. I'm a shadow. It's all about the. It's all about where I am proportionally to the
Does
sun.
that mean that 50% of the time they don't feel it?
Oh, God.
Well, if I stand at a different angle, it looks larger because of the shadow, right? Is that how that works?
You don't have a shadow.
Am I doing this right? I can't
Oh.
tell. I don't feel anything.
Me neither.
I don't have nerve endings.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus.
Anyway.
Oh no! I just thought about how awful that would be. Oh no! I never made that comparison between people that don't have nerve endings. And anyways, let's get off of, or they can't feel pain
Well,
So
without.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, so do you describe what you talked about with your date? I'm assuming you don't describe the other part.
Yes, I'll describe I'll describe what we were talking about and about the curious, forgotten memory.
Oh. So there's someone trying to scry on you again.
No. He
Nope,
forgot.
He doesn't remember they were trying to scry.
The only thing that he remembers is that he can't remember a memory that he was trying to share that she had.
Oh,
There's so many things. I was like, oh, let me say this. And I'm like, nope, that's metagaming because I was definitely just told.
I thought that he forgot like the
Metagaming Ryan.
No,
and
the
Jess.
whole both of them both forgot what was even leading up to what.
Oh,
happened.
okay.
I think what Steve was trying to get at with all those knowledge things is that the person in the memory probably laid a spell into this memory to where there was some sort of contingency. I'm guessing if it were shared with someone, like a share memory were performed on this memory, that then this other spell kind of like goes off and it basically blinks both of their memories of like everything. So they know that they were trying to share a memory with each other, but the entire memory is just like gone.
Well, it actually seemed a little more complicated than that. It seemed like it was actually like it's very similar, but not necessarily a contingency. But it was actually woven into the memory.
Well, he was saying it's not a contingency because a contingency is you put on a person, and but this is basically like a contingency in a spell. So my guess is there was some sort of spell or something he did in that moment. But somehow like in this memory, in this moment, he wove in like a contingency where like if it probably were ever viewed by someone else or shared with someone else or some sort of like thing where someone else is trying to look at it, that this like kind of like spell goes off, which basically blinks both of their minds of the memory that they were trying to share.
But fortunately, it didn't blank our minds of the memory of us trying to access the memory.
Yeah, so you just know that like there was some memory you wanted to share with each other, and all of a sudden you don't remember what the hell you wanted to share with each other.
Well, they remember that it was something weird because it becomes hazy, right? It becomes more dreamlike. So she remembers somebody came in and that she wanted to share this memory with him, but she can't remember anything past that point about the details. And
he just doesn't remember any of the details other than she was trying to share a memory with him about like a person that came into her store.
Correct.
And that's like all he knows.
Yeah, see, I was taking it that she remembered at least what he was buying, but not like anything.
No, it gets wiped back to the point that she can remember the most, because that's all he'll remember her telling her is that I have this really important memory that we should share together.
What really concerns me though about the way that spell seems to work is that if other spells were cast that way, theoretically, unless I'm thinking of it wrong, something else, like they could deal damage directly to somebody that's trying to observe it then, right?
Perhaps. It's at this point, knowing this, it's not outside of the realm of possibility.
That's very concerning.
Yeah, I don't think we really know, especially since we don't know a whole lot about the dude who, like, coined this, like, what types of things can be, like, inlaid in these other, like, spells. So you don't really know, like, is it just, limited to, like, non-damaging things? Can it be anything? Does it have parameters? Don't really have any idea without, like, finding out more information on exactly how the Lich created this shit. Why is my hair stuck?
Well, I think that it's concerning that you can't remember any of this, but I would say maybe be cautious. You don't know, what trying to undo that might cause.
Exactly. That's why I was hesitant to do it in the first place. I didn't want to. If the memory of specifically the person's name was hazy, it concerned me because it seemed very deliberate, considering everything else was not as everything else was more clear, more of like normal. At least initially, it seemed like that. So I didn't want to cause any issues by trying to go in there and look at the name and then have it cause damage to her or anything like that. But yes, this arcane manipulation is a very, very concerning issue.
Yes. Well, just be careful. You don't want to end up wiping your memory completely or something.
Very true. I need to find a way to store that in the off chance that something happens.
It'll be
too bad you don't have one of those machines like in La Vie.
Very true.
It'll be about this time you reach the ministry doors.
I will walk in.
Yep. You can head past your usual place. There is a specific location listed here on the card. You go up a couple of floors and into a very large office, and a very sort of opulent office, decorated with a large number of tapestries that hang on the walls.
I'm immediately drawn to these tapestries.
Yeah, they are historical representations. Give me a knowledge history check if you have any ranks.
I do. I have one rank in it.
So you will know that what he is depicting here is a scene from the early times of Knightsbridge, the founding of Knightsbridge. You notice that there is the way that one of the characters in here is drawn is very familiar, and it kind of clicks to you why. The Johansson family is a very early generational family to the city of Knightsbridge. They were here at its founding. And, well, this picture does not depict him in it. The likeness is so similar that it's probably not more than a generation removed.
That was hundreds of years ago, correct?
Yes, many hundreds of years ago.
And he appeared to be a human, physically.
Yes.
Kind of mutter that to them if they're standing near me as we were going in to see him.
Yeah, you'll have to mutter that in his office, because this is where the tapestry is.
Yeah.
But it's a large enough office that you can, like, say it before you reach his desk, when he will finally, like, greet you. Good, you finally made it. Please have a seat. There's much to talk about.
I will sit.
Same.
Yep.
Well, you probably know where I'm going with this. I'm assuming you're at least bright enough to figure this one out, though some of the things I've experienced you haven't been able to figure out yet, so who knows. kind of like slurps his water a bit as he drinks it. I was trying to do it there, but didn't do a good enough job. I'm going to be asking that you deal with this problem in the forest once and for all. I will sort of leave it to your judgment, but I think you'll find it's best if it's properly cleaned up. I want to make sure you have all the tools that you need to accomplish this. It's a very dangerous place out there in the forest, and as our reconnaissance has shown so far, the further in you get, the darker it's going to get. To a point that it actually starts to consume light. Due to this limitation, we were unable to get a close enough look at what lies closer to this darkness. But in some of the outskirts, we were able to identify that there are very key things that you're going to have to be prepared for. The most important thing to be watchful for is a number of sort of haunting creatures that have been twisted by this dark fey magic. These are creatures capable of drawing the mind out of you. Abilities to manipulate your head in not the short term, but the long term. So it is imperative that you act carefully and quickly in anything that you encounter. These things will not be like the things you've already seen. Perhaps one of them you might remember your first case. The woman down in the sewers that you described fits similar to what some of our scouts had returned with information about, and what some of the ones that didn't return back were babbling about. Babbling about living a life in the woods, how they'd been there the whole time. That their mother had led them there. That they loved their mother very much. Watch for it in each other, because when it touches you, your eyes will slowly turn like theirs did. These are the reports that we have of what happens when you encounter these creatures. They will look like twisted versions of people and fae. Be wary. And once they take a liking to you, it seems hard to get them to go away. We have created an apparatus that should be able to guide you right where you need to go. Is a simple device, somewhat rudimentary once we realized a specific pattern in the way the light was happening. The scouts did an excellent job recovering good intel on that and allowing us to create this. And he will set a wayfinder down on the desk. And right now it will be spinning. When it enters into a location of creeping darkness, it will guide you towards the darkness's center. At first, when you're in the woods, it will take probably a few hours to a day of travel to get to the point where you'll reach the creeping effects. But once you're there, it should guide you the rest of the way. You should be able to handle most problems that might arise in the early areas of the woods, but still be attentive. Remember
Oh, I'm sorry. Does this darkness behave like deeper darkness, or is it something different than that?
In the inner, it appears to be dark enough that it consumes most all magic, though our scouts were nervous about what magics they attempted, being that they're scouts. And you're not very good as reconnaissance if you're a shining ball in the middle of the woods. But even with some of our more advanced abilities to see through darkness, they were unable to pierce it deeply. So we can only assume that it is deeper darkness or potentially something more powerful. We are also willing to prepare each of you for your travels with something extra. Now, I notice he will look at Antaeus, and I'm going to double check something because now I feel like I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. No, you do. Okay, never mind. I noticed that all of you are wearing armor, which is fortunate. I have a spell that we're going to be applying to your armor that should alleviate your resting times to make sure you can keep as efficiently as possible and minimize risk of things. You're going to be in a very dark environment anyway, so keeping track of what time of day it is going to be rough in and of itself. You're keeping up with this, right? Not losing track or anything?
Oh, we're good.
Good. So, this should be very clear if it's not already. You have full authorization to take whatever actions you deem necessary to resolve this problem. However, you are going to be held personally liable if the problem is not solved. As will I. I am putting a great deal of faith in you, and to some degree, faith in your known incompetence. But successes as your incompetence may have yielded. I would like this mission to be done smoothly and cleanly, but those who I've sent to attempt it already have failed in their endeavors, so I feel smoothly is probably a mistake for this kind of circumstance. These are Fae we're talking about anyway. They don't do anything very smoothly. We'll need about 5 days in order to prep your armor. You'll need to leave it with us. Once we have it, you'll only need about 2 hours of rest in order to be fully rested. You can sleep for longer than that if you choose, and it will give you some additional mild regenerative effects. But otherwise, 2 hours should be all you need.
They will know to plant and water my armor, correct? That they're working on.
I will advise them, yes. We are also aware of a pair of creatures that guard the location. Ones that Elizabeth spoke of before, and all of you did as well. Creatures known as Boogeymen. These are something that for many years we've told society is not real. They sound more like a children's story designed to scare them. However, these are twisted creatures of Feyen trickery. They are bred in the darkest dreams of Feyen magic and have the capacity to send somebody into their darkest nightmare forever.
How do we deal with the Boogeyman?
Same way you need to deal with anything. Get it down quickly. They do have some traits, though, that might be of use for you to know about. They are weak to... They are most negatively impacted by weapons of the cold iron variety, as they are Feyen in nature. If you can remain vigilant and free of fear, you will find that they are not able to regenerate themselves under normal conditions. But they themselves can instill deep fear in you. And in their sting, they can apply an even stronger fear. But much of what they do is based on making you afraid. And that is where a lot of the advantage comes in. If you can fight your fears, then you can overcome them.
Have you all developed anything to deal with the problems with sanity when you encounter these things?
These are merely side effects of your mind playing tricks on you. There is nothing wrong with your head, you just need a proper break afterwards. Many people journey too quickly back into work. Well, I know you might think that some of the research done in... it's my own fucking map, or my own fucking world. In Lviv were less than beneficial. I assure you that much of the research yielded a lot of good information into the minds of how many of the city's inhabitants operate. And we are certain that these things that people keep referring to as loss of sanity, loss of mind, these are all either effects rendered by magic which can inevitably be cleared up, or effects that simply require a break from society. A place like the operation we had in Lviv gave people the ability to clear their minds and think more openly, and helped unlock a better life for them. Worry not about these things. You should be fine. We are unsure what this mother creature is. We have done what we can to try to identify it, but unfortunately, we've had no such success. It likely remains too deep within the darkness for us to identify. The same with whatever powers this, but they all spoke of a very interesting scent. Something that smelled like a tree that was ablaze. The smell of perpetually burning wood. But not one of them saw light of fire or heard crackle of wood.
So you think that perhaps that whatever this burning is may be contributing to what's going on with the forest or the magics within?
I'm not sure. I could sit and theorize for a long time, but theories don't yield results. Actions do. And I cannot take any in this circumstance alone. And I best should not. my abilities are not proper for the field. My abilities are proper for choosing the right people to take the right chances. This is our last one. I do fear. And perhaps I should have trusted Ninoslav initially, instead of having you waste your time going to Lviv. Perhaps we should have sent you here sooner. But I digress. Do you have any questions?
I think I've basically asked everything that I was concerned about. Questions that I can think of. Will we be given any funds to prepare for this?
Were you not already compensated for your previous work?
Yes. I just wondered if we were going to be given anything else to prepare. That's all.
Unfortunately, in a circumstance like this, we don't really have a lot of resources to allocate to potentially benefit the opposition cause. We're unsure what is out there, and we want to make sure you're properly prepared, but we have made a substantial investment in the four of you already. And all we can do at this point is hope that it has been enough to make sure that you're successful. I don't really know if there's anything particular we could give you that would turn the tide. That's part of why we're offering you at least what we know would increase your advantage. The ability to rest when you need to for a brief period of time. Well, I should specify, not necessarily when you need to. If you sleep extra time too early, it will not have any effect. You still need to let the day go by, but it takes less time for you to be concerned with that. When you start to feel tired, just keep that and take that into consideration. Anyway, I'm off topic here. I wish I could afford you more aid, but unfortunately, this is not the time or the place for us to sort of make that decision. If we are successful in this, I can assure you coffers will open up to you like you've never dreamed of. But the mistakes I have made in previous dispatching has also limited what I have available in my personal fund towards this project.
I would also bring up, just to the party, I guess, that I had, been able to get talismans from that, like, rare magic, it's not like a shop, but it's like a part of the ministry where they have, like, sort of, like, unusual magic items and that kind of thing. I would bring that up so that they know in case they're wanting to get anything.
Ooh, you took some of those.
Yes.
You're a brave one.
Well, the magic that I have allows me to use a spell in place of a protection amulet. So it seemed like the talismans would be something useful in that sense.
A word of warning on those, so that we're clear. Because sometimes people jump to things that they read about in books. Creatures of questionable magical origin produce those things. The effects may be beneficial, but they might leave a lasting impact, you might say. Some have talked about how they are empowered by souls or by spirits of families long past, or ideas, and that susceptible people might hear or feel unexpected things when they occur. No one has ever died from anything like this or succumbed to any significant negative ill, but there have been many interesting tales of things heard and seen. But I'm sure it will all be fine. You're a brave young woman, and I think you'll do well. Especially with your history.
I suppose we'll see. Hopefully the talismans I have won't even need to be used.
Yes, let's hope for that. That sounds like a much better thing to hope for. Well, anything else from the rest of you? I'm surprised, Gulran, you've been rather quiet, considering Ninoslav's reports on you.
Oh, you know, in my head, trying to work out some advanced problems. I'm sure my party can handle the questions.
Perhaps.
He was probably knocked silly by that acolyte of Lars that he fought the other day.
Oh, yes. I wanted to say something about that. Thank you, Niev. What were you doing trivializing your responsibilities to this company?
I made it clear from day one that my ultimate responsibilities is to Krauskoran, my deity.
According to the notes, you specifically had said Sascha, your deity.
Well, things changed.
Yes. And so you felt it necessary to put your life and potentially this mission in jeopardy. What is this I hear? You did not even agree to resurrection upon your potential demise?
Yes, it's a stipulation required by the Lanrian clerics to get their approval for my church.
Should I now be concerned that you're going to be on more of these journeys where your party cannot bring you back from the dead should you fall?
I didn't know when we signed up we had to make a designation of choice of whether we want to be resurrected or not. I thought that was a personal choice, not an occupational choice. I don't know why it's any of your business if I want to rejoin the world after I perish or not.
If you are suddenly losing the will to live, Gulran, I think that is my business.
I have the will to live. I just maybe do not have the will to live more than perhaps my god would want me to.
He looks over at the rest of you. He has not taken any other suicidal endeavors, has he?
Not that I recall.
If it was suicidal, I would have failed. I knew what I was doing. I prepared, and I had the gods at my side.
Gulran, do you think
task is noble?
Do you think you're really the first person from either the Ministry or the Knights to be suicidal and not die? Suicidal people happen all the time. They seek out challenges and encounters in the hope that finally something will fell them. And you are a man surrounded by members of your party that have fallen around you. It is easy for that to take a traumatic toll on you. And if you are starting to experience a desire to join the afterlife early, then it is important that you bring that up to us to make sure that we can help you find better stability in your life.
I stand corrected. My actions were not suicidal. I do not seek death. I merely seek to accomplish the goals that my God set before me. If that requires putting my life on the line, which I do in almost everything I do in life, everything is a risk. I do not seek out death, but I do not fear it either.
There. I will take these words into consideration, then. I apologize for my harshness, but it is something that we have to be worried about with all of our recruits at this stage of progress.
No offense taken. I understand how my actions look without explanation.
Thank you. Well, if there be nothing else, you are dismissed. We will reconvene here in 5 days, same time. Leave your armors downstairs.
I will leave, and I will take my armor downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And just to be on the safe side, I'm going to put a little note on my armor that says, please water and care and plant this at least, every 3 days.
Okay. But all of you can drop off what you're dropping off. Is there anything you all want to pick up over the next 5 days? Or anything specific that you want to get done over the next 5 days?
We got 5 days.
Yep.
Let me check my notes.
5 days, no armor.
Yes. I don't think you have enough money for any upgrades or anything like that. But just checking on my cleric to-do list. I guess I'll check in on the Temple of Sunal to see. I'll check their calendar on that board to see if there's a date within 5 days that they're available for a meeting.
You will not see a date within 5 days, but you will see something written out unexpectedly. Your name is on the board to meet with them in 15 days. But your name is written there with a large question mark after it.
I guess if I can get the attention of one of the clerics, I'll ask them.
What?
I was told I had to schedule a meeting to discuss getting approval from the clerics of Sunal to sign on for a new deity of my church, but I was supposed to set this date, yet I see my name already here.
He'll walk over to the thing and he'll look at it. Question mark. He'll look at you. Did you ask the gods about whether you're going to die? Have you put yourself in a state of suspended potentiality?
So I wasn't 100% sure on my vision, but I believe the gods deliberated my quest, and they were speaking of my success or failure.
Gods don't deliberate over people like you and I. Come now, let's be real.
I'm pretty important.
Everyone thinks that. It's okay to find the ability to recognize that we're all kind of important, but we're all also not important in the grand scheme of things.
Perhaps, but you're the one who asked why my name's there, and I agree. I think the gods did. Maybe the gods put it there.
No, someone else must have put it here. You said you met with somebody before to find out that you had to schedule an appointment. Perhaps they scheduled one for you in your absence.
They didn't tell me about it?
It is peculiar, I will admit, that you're not aware. And that there is a question mark there. And you're sure no one has cast any foretelling about you and ended up with a mysterious result, yes? We normally reserve the question mark for following up after somebody is potentially likely to die.
I did participate in I did commune with Kraskron, the god I'm trying to establish a church for, about my success in the arena of Lars. and it was unsure my result and would depend on my skill. And as I stand here, I succeeded, obviously.
Then,
unless this is the afterlife.
Typically, we would wipe the question mark away, but it's still here.
I am to go on a mission shortly. Perhaps the outcome of that, I may not return. This is why I didn't want to schedule a meeting, because I'm often in the missions with the ministry, but...
Are you working on a large project, Mr. Gulran?
Fortunately, that's classified. Can't really discuss the missions of the ministry with the general public.
I wasn't really speaking about that. Like one that's personal to yourself. Why are you interested in having the appointment in the first place?
Thought I explained this. I'm trying to get approval from many of the church's clerics to sign in a new deity. Let me construct a church to my new deity.
Are we the only one you have left?
No.
Whom else do you have left?
Honor is but that one's a little testy. I might need to prepare more for that one.
What tasks has he assigned you?
I'm not given the particulars, but I am to come ready to test my body, mind, and spirit. So I assume some sort of trials, testing all three of those things.
Yes. I would propose that you, pending whatever this thing you're about to do is, you come see us first. Before you go attempt whatever this on her thing is. I think that might be related to the question mark.
Alright. Well, I don't expect this mission to make me miss this scheduled date. So I will make note of it and I will be here.
Excellent. And you will not stop it on her before you go? He says this to you, but he's like staring at the like calendar.
If that's what you suggest, I have no deadline or date with on her. I just obtained what they expect of me, and whenever I'm prepared, I am to go do it.
He looks a little bit still perplexed as he is looking at the
You thought
calendar.
that could be the event that is giving the question mark?
I thought perhaps if maybe you meet with Anher, you fail at Anher before talking to us, but that does not also seem to be the case. So, I'm not sure. Hopefully something is not foretold that you have a likely chance of death. Oh well.
Well, this upcoming mission is deadly, but so are all my missions.
Well, I do hope you make it back. I assume we look forward to speaking with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And yeah, let's go ahead and take a short break. You guys can think about some stuff, and we'll see what happens when you get back.
Yeah.
The days can pass. Is there anything else that any of you have thought of that you want to do or pick up?
Yeah, I think we want to meet up as a party to discuss this, so we all meet up after that meeting, and I say, I won't lie, I was kind of zoned out for that. What are we dealing with? Do we need those air purifiers from our wizard friend again, or what do you think? What do we do? What do we need?
I mean, I don't think he's going to offer anything of that sort because he doesn't truly believe anything happens to your mind out there. He thinks it's just all in our head and you need to rest more when you get back.
Well, I mean...
No, she's not... You're not talking about Rian, are you?
No, the wizard friend at the cabin.
Yeah, I'm saying Rian isn't going to suggest us getting them because he doesn't believe there's anything that needs purifying.
No,
right, well, who cares?
You're both confusing you're confusing what he's saying. Gulran is asking if you should visit the guy who lives near the outskirts of town about getting those scrolls.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay.
No.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Who cares what Rian will think? We need to do what we experienced. That helped us. I don't see why we shouldn't get some. If he has them and he's willing to
Well,
give
I've
them
never
to us.
met this guy, so...
Oh, you haven't? It's quite eccentric.
I think Brianna was with you when you met him.
But when we last encountered him, he was on the edge of the growth of the forest and dealing with it, and I don't know if he's still living there, but maybe we should stop in and check in on him.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we can do that.
Is there anything else that Rian mentioned you thought of that we should be getting?
He was talking about the darkness. I have a couple of spells that can potentially help with that. We'll see. I mean, this.
What about the darkness? Like, we need to make sure to get rid of it. The enemies thrive in it.
It gets continually darker and darker and darker till at the very center of where we're going, it literally eats the light away.
I really recall you discussing dark vision. Will this not work in this darkness?
We weren't discussing dark vision. I was asking if it acted like deeper darkness, like the darkness when we fought that shadow thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he said possibly, but it wasn't like his scouts were lighting up things to see how it worked. They were trying to get in and get out without being noticed, basically. So
they must have been able to maneuver. They must have been able to see. So,
well, he gave us a wayfinder, and Nia will hold up the wayfinder.
Okay.
He said that when it starts getting really dark, this should help show us the way.
But it's still going to be getting very dark, and if we don't have means of effectively lighting the area, those of us without dark vision will not be able to see what we're doing.
Well, I have spells that give light as well, but like if you said they eat the light...
That's what he said, but he said his agents didn't test what spells work close to the epicenter as they are scouts and just trying to get information and get out. So they said as they got closer, it seemed like the darkness was eating away the light, but we don't know what light spells they tried, how powerful of spells they tried. It could be they tried very weak things, or they were trying natural light, like a torch, and it was eating the light. We don't exactly know that. We just know.
All right. Well, then
as we get deeper, it starts to potentially...
I have a spell that produces sunlight that I was thinking to prepare for going in there. Let's see. Well, daylight, sorry. I can touch an object and cause the object to shed bright light in a 60-foot radius.
Yep, I have the same. I don't know if we need duplication of this, or I'll let you handle that.
Well, I am taking this in lieu of something like communal resist energy, because I don't think that it will be the same as fighting those dragons. So I was thinking that instead of something like communal resist energy, I could take daylight to help with the darkness.
Do you have communal protection from energy?
That is a different circle of spells. I do not have. I wasn't planning to prepare it. I was going to keep a cure serious wounds prepared in case, something were to happen to you. I could, heal you up, as it were.
All right, I'll take protection then.
Okay. Oh, also, he said that he was saying that some of these creatures are weak to cold iron. I don't know if we want to see about getting some kind of cold iron to...
I am also weak to that.
I mean, I don't like it myself, but...
My weapon should be powerful enough to get through cold iron when I'm in my rage.
Alright, so that covers that off. I also have a spell that makes me radiate light, but I don't think it lasts very long. Oh, it does last. Oh no, rounds per level. Not that long.
Well, I also, if we are in combat in this darkness, I also have learned how to make the creatures that I summon radiate sunlight. So that could possibly help.
Yeah, these are all good things then.
He did mention that there are boogeymen that guard the center, and us being strong against their fear will probably be imperative. So anything you can have to help us resist their fear.
What are you thinking about there, Antaeus?
You're muted.
You're muted.
Whoops. Damn it, I guess it didn't go through. Darkness effects. And what kind of spells and stuff that there are.
7.
How effective light would essentially be.
Double check. Steve. You guys can keep talking while I'm looking this up.
Yes.
He also mentioned that apparently that creature that you all took down in the sewers has been around, converting people. We shouldn't let them touch us because it'll change our eyes and make us think she's our mother.
He was more saying that people in here for a long time who go under the effects of these things can be changed and warped like them, and to watch out for any of us talking about loving the mother or wanting to be with the mother or loving the forest and having to been here forever, because that means they may be under the same effects and trying to clear them quickly of it, I guess. I don't know.
So, Antaeus, from your understanding of how the arcane world works, you do know of Deeper Darkness. Deeper Darkness is a exceptional version of darkness that is capable of overwhelming any light spell of the same circle or lower. But you know that there are more powerful versions of this Deeper Darkness that can be manifested. One such one is a rather damaging effect known as Hungry Darkness. Hungry Darkness is very similar to Deeper Darkness, but being within the darkness can actually injure you. And it being a higher level spell overall means it has a higher level spell effect on the world. You're also familiar with an even more powerful spell than that would be very expensive if it were cast. But it creates a Curse of Endless Night. And give me a Knowledge Arcana to know what, or a Knowledge Para Arcana to know what the Curse of Endless Night is. Check this real quick.
That's not as good as I was hoping.
So you're not exactly sure how you solve this, but you'll know that a curse of endless light. Hey, Whitney, can you close that door? Hold on a sec.
But yeah, did you have anything for the fear stuff?
I can remove fear, but I thought, didn't last time, were we like saying like if you have no fear, they get pissed off or some shit?
Well, that is going to anger them more, but they feed off of the fear, and so they like regenerate basically off people around them being afraid. I mean, they're gonna get pissed off regardless because we're gonna have to fight them. But oh.
You're okay. So you'll know that the Curse of Endless Night is effectively an effect very similar to Deeper Darkness, but substantially more powerful. In a endless night, in a zone of endless night, things can't really create much more than dim light. Even effects like daylight are only able to provide normal lighting conditions, assuming there are no other effects that are layered on top to extinguish those conditions. You're not sure how to alleviate a curse if that such thing were placed on the area. But if it's dark enough that people are having issues seeing in the dark, even with some measure of lighting, then it's quite possible this might be what they're dealing with. And if it is even harder to see the closer in you get, it's very likely it's layered. So there's probably this effect on some area, and then a stronger darkness effect even closer in, or another darkness effect even closer in, to kind of double up.
Would Antaeus know all of these dark spells? Does dark vision see through them, or are some of these considered like a magical darkness that only like true seeing or something sees through?
In a area of endless night, you have somewhat diminished vision for your dark vision.
Mm-hmm.
The same with deeper darkness. If it is a deeper darkness or higher level effect, your dark vision does not function within that range.
Like it doesn't function at all, or because diminished made it sound like, I don't know, maybe it goes from like 60 feet to 30 feet or something, or is it just like it doesn't function at all?
Hold on a sec.
Yeah.
Antaeus, do you also know these effects? If you are resistant to spells, does that impact them?
That's
so
a
you can
good
answer
question.
Basically, I'm wondering if spell resistance is worth casting in us in this area.
If it were Hungry Darkness, yes, there is some spell resistance. Spell resistant, there you can resist it to prevent some of the damage, but not the darkness, if I remember correctly.
Well, it only applies to the damage.
Yes, it can prevent the damage from it, but I don't believe it prevents the darkness it creates.
Sorry, what was being asked? I'm sorry.
I was asking if the dark vision is, you said like at first like diminished, like, or lessened. So is it like you just have less vision, or is it dark vision doesn't work at all and you're basically as if you have no dark vision in these areas?
It is so in deeper darkness it is as if you have no dark vision in the area. In the endless night, it is as if your dark vision is diminished.
So what does diminished mean, I guess, is what I'm not.
It's a little hard to identify because have you ever tried to measure the distance of something that you can only see as far as without knowing what else is beyond what you can see? So, like, turn off the lights in your house and close all the windows in your house, and then light a candle and tell me how far you can see with just the candlelight.
Okay.
That's an almost impossible thing to do, because you kind of have to define what is visibility in that kind of
But I think you would have a
candlelight.
general sense that, like, you can still see, but maybe see less than you feel like you normally would.
That's what I am explaining, but you're asking me for like something more substantial than that.
No,
and what I'm
sorry,
trying to say is I can't give you.
I wasn't asking for something more substantial
Okay.
than that. I was just trying to get an idea that, like, the dark vision still
It's
works.
diminished. It is shorter. It is a smaller range than what they would. They know they would normally see.
That's fine.
Because they can kind of see there's limited.
I was just trying to confirm that because I had saved some money up for a bit, and I'm debating whether or not I get Goggles of Night.
Gotcha.
Actually, I might have something that could help us to some degree. Well, I won't be able to help all of us, but I could have access to this. Wow, that didn't do anything that I wanted it to.
I mean, we can click it. It's a link.
Yeah, I was hoping. I'm so used to, like, when you send text messages to showing like a.
You can perceive the world by creating high-pitched noises and listening to their echoes. This gives you blind sight to a range of 40 feet. The echo-producing noises are too high-pitched to be heard by most creatures. You can only be detected by dragons, other creatures with this ability, such as bats, and creatures with hearing-based blind sense or blind sight. You cannot use this ability if you are deaf. You cannot detect anything in an area of silence. Yeah, I think the only thing that's rough about this is because, because it's blind sight, I think then you have the blind sight, like, fighting, right? Which I think is, like, always, like, a 50% chance miss.
There's also this spell, possibly. Wall of Light.
Yeah, I think the thing here is, I don't know if we have an idea of the spheres of these higher darkness spells, but we know that there are obviously stronger and stronger and stronger spheres, and basically, depending on how strong of a sphere they used, the only light that'll work is one that's of a higher sphere. So I don't know if 5th level will be higher than potentially the strongest thing they're using.
This is pretty much my strongest light spell.
Does Antaeus have any vague idea the spheres of these spells, or does he just know that they get stronger and stronger?
So he would know that the Hungry Darkness is a 7th circle spell.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're definitely not overcoming that if it's there.
Yeah, it would be.
Can you confirm the spell resistance part? Is it just the damage, or do you become immune to its effects?
It is. I actually looked it up afterwards just to make sure, but I didn't want to.
Okay.
Yeah, I waited until after he told me that I could find out about that. But yes. And as far as the blind sense, I don't know if it actually has any kind of limitations on that. I know that
blind sense is not really the same thing as seeing in the dark.
Blind sight,
it's not really, but it's not fully being able to see in the dark. It's the ability to perceive certain things in certain ways, but you're not going to get a full, like, semi-visual representation. But you'll know when there are problematic things or other similar things in the way.
Yes, if there were enemies, corporeal enemies, I suppose. I don't know how it would work with incorporeal things as far as.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue, even if we know that there are corporeal enemies around, I think we're going to have a hard time identifying what the enemies are unless there's any sort of, like, audible or other sensory cues as to what they are versus just like looking at them.
Does True Sight see through these things?
I think True Sight sees through, like, all darkness effects.
True sight would see
magical.
through it. Yep.
Well, I can give someone true sight, and if we need it for 10 minutes. In key situations, if we encounter a creature we need to fight, I can throw true seeing on people.
You can put it on people? I thought it was personal.
Is it self? Nope, touch. Glimpse of truth is self.
Okay.
But true seeing is creature touch.
Yep. I think that's where I got flip-flopped.
Yeah, if anything is invisible or concealed, even with magical darkness, it'd be irrelevant. But that also, I don't know. And
what would be irrelevant? True sight?
To blind sight, I mean, sorry.
Oh, no, yeah, I think if we get into somewhere where we have to fight, I think the play is to put true seeing on our frontline people.
I bring it up because it is a fourth circle alchemist ability, one that I overlooked when choosing my fourth circle abilities.
Go
ahead.
As a druid, I can also do that spell. If I'm very limited in my fourth circle spells, but I could take that spell that you mentioned.
Yes, the echolocation.
Yes.
Yes. The only downside is that the range is personal. I mean, granted, it would be beneficial for you to have it, but yes.
So maybe you two should prepare that for yourselves, and then I can true sight Ivy.
Well, I can prepare that as a potion.
Oh, well, yes. I'm just saying I can only, like, our first actions in a combat should be to let us see properly, so I can only do it to one person, and so can you, so it would just help to everyone handle themselves kind of thing.
In case anybody needs the ability to...
But those echolocations, you guys do realize that if you're depending on that to perceive, it's going to be much harder to perceive what the enemies are, which will obviously make us harder for us to discern, like, what their strengths or weaknesses or what we're going up against, basically. And also, I do believe, out of character, I'm pretty sure that spell is going to make you work like you're blind fighting, where everything has, like, the 50% miss chance.
I don't believe so.
No, blind sight does negate displacement and blur effects.
Yes, it does. There's a link to it if you go click the echolocation thing. In the first line, you can. There's a thing
I just didn't click on any of those things.
The key to blind sight is you hit on one of the nails on the head. It doesn't give you the ability to identify who an individual specifically is.
Yes, I mean I'm aware of that, but I mean it's better.
So
than
then maybe the strategy is true sighting Antaeus. You can see what we're up against, and then you echolocation all of us to fight properly in combat.
Well, I could give somebody echolocation.
What you're thinking of, Whitney, is blind sense allows you to.
Oh, okay.
It's very annoying that the two are the same, but in similar name. But blind sense lets you identify where things are, but you treat everything you interact with as concealed.
It also doesn't help that they use blind sense and blind sight later on next to each other in the description.
Do they? I didn't notice that.
Yeah. Other creatures with this ability, such as bats and creatures with hearing-based blind sense and blind sight, can only be detected by dragons and all that stuff. Yeah, but I mean, granted, yes, you won't be able to tell what it is, but you'll be able to tell something is there.
Never allows a creature to distinguish color or visual contrast. A creature cannot read. Blind sight does not subject a creature to gaze attacks, even though dark vision does. Blinding attacks do not penalize creatures that use blind sight. Deafening attacks thwart blind sight if it relies on hearing. Blind sight works underwater, but not in a vacuum. Blind sight negates displacement and blur effects. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. I had to read it a few times to make sure that there was nothing in there about the mischance. I wasn't sure myself.
To the creature, even in magical darkness. Though it still can't see ethereal creatures. Yeah, so if something's ethereal, this will not help us at all.
Yeah.
But as far as we know and have reports and have witnessed, we haven't seen anything ethereal out there, but that doesn't mean couldn't exist.
Exactly. And it's more of that's mostly, as far as I can think of off the top of my head, that's like one of the few things I have at that circle that would be beneficial for something like this, but...
Yeah, I think the plan is true seeing on Antaeus, and you do the echolocation on everyone else, prioritizing Ivy.
Well, what I mean is I could give somebody the potion so they could take it whenever they want, and I wouldn't have to do that
Use
to
your
them.
turn.
Yeah, exactly.
But then
And
they
that
have to
way-
waste their turn to drink it.
But that way, if I can't see them, then they would be able to utilize it without me having to hit them with it.
Brew. Yeah, I guess if you can brew us all a potion of it.
I don't know how many I can actually prepare. ahead of
Niev
time that way.
will just opt to take the spell for herself because she can cast it on both herself and Hunter. So she'll just opt to do that. So that
Are
that's
you
one
not?
less.
Yeah. Are you allowed
Well,
to make
that's-
extracts of any level?
I'll double check. Infusion.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, extracts don't have the potion limitation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they don't
they
have
can-
the same limitation because it's literally just your. if
Right,
you
I'm just
have
saying in the
feat.
feat that lets you change it to people. I
Yeah.
didn't know if there was a limitation
No,
on that.
No,
I
there's
didn't
not.
know. Okay. All right, then that sounds like the plan.
It's
Okay,
one of
I
the
just- I-
only ways they could find to make the alchemist have something slightly more powerful.
I had to double check it though, because I was like, I think that there was something that I couldn't have more than one of them without doing something, but I might be thinking of something else. Yeah, it looks like he confuse it with when he creates an extract, he can fuse it with an extra bit of his own magic power. The extract now persists even after the alchemist set it down. As long as the extract exists, it continues to occupy one of the alchemist's daily selected or extract slots. An infused extract can be imbibed by any non-alchemist to gain its effect.
So even if you pre-prepare this, you're wasting your spell points. Essentially, you're not like
Yes.
saving, but you're saving action economy.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, and that's the way to go.
Alright. I would need to buy a scroll of it beforehand to learn it, but
Well, we have 5 days.
Yep, you have plenty of
Get
time to
buy-in.
buy anything that you need that you can afford.
Anybody want to pull a bank heist so we can get stuff we can't afford?
No.
I mean, there are other things if you really want some money and need some money on the side you could do leading up, but you do not have your armor during this time.
I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
that might help me make more money if you think about it. I don't have my armor, so
Well, okay.
yeah, you don't
I
have
don't
to.
get it.
You don't have to take
I'm a
it off.
charisma
Oh yeah,
caster.
sex.
I'm talking about sex, Goron.
Oh,
Oh, sorry, I was channeling Brianna there.
yeah. What the hell? Who are you? I didn't
Oh
know
yeah,
you were...
speaking of Brianna, she's. Oh yeah, I told you about that, didn't I? Yes, good. Let's have that in my head. That way.
I do have a question though,
Mhm.
Steve. Did only Antaeus see Brianna, or did I actually, as an
I actually only
bit of
heard
her.
her. I think I didn't think I saw her. Right?
No, you saw a brief glimpse, but the
Okay.
message was intended for him, so he heard the message, and that's why he saw her. But Brianna did see
Brianna saw Niev.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think Niev was a little too overwhelmed by being in combat to catch
Probably.
that glimpse.
It was like, oh, great, Elizabeth just disappeared. We're screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just have to buy the spell components for True Seeing, and that's about it for me.
All right.
Ivy was asking about the fear thing. I have a spell to remove fear, and I believe Bless gives a +1 on your saves fear. So if we suspect it, I would cast Bless, and I'll have remove fear ready. That's the only thing I have really against fear.
Do you have calm emotions? Would that help at all?
I do, but that one's like a double-edged sword because then it makes you not want to be aggressive as well for in combat or something.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Actually, while I'm going over this, you said it was, I almost said Hungry Like the Wolf, Hungry Darkness, and you said there was another one, or did I not?
There's Hungry Darkness, Deeper Darkness, and then the spell that made you think about the other thing is a spell called, I just closed the tab.
It was like Curse of Night, Curse of Endless Night.
That's the name of the
yes.
curse. There's a spell that initially creates the Curse of Endless Night.
Gotcha.
There's no issue getting the spell to one of her choosing, right? I can just add it to my character sheet, deducting the gold.
Yeah, there's no issue in getting that.
Oh, Curse of Night? Is that the one?
I think that's the one, yeah.
By touching the ground, you curse an area to remain in bleak darkness as the Endless Night curse?
Yep.
Okay,
That's
it's
one.
an 8th circle spell.
Yikes.
Yes.
But it is not like darkness or deeper darkness. It is its own separate thing. So it applies differently than the other effect.
Yeah, because I was like looking and I was like, oh well, I could also get Eyes of the Void, I believe it is, but that would not help if these are higher than that level of circle or that circle spell. So.
Do we?
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I guess daylight could come in handy until we get to the point where it fails. So.
When was the last?
Let me double check.
I also did want to for the Hungry Darkness and Curse of Night, I was going to see if in some downtime I was going to spend some downtime trying to research if there was anything that would be advantageous in that scenario, something that would utilize that in order to get an upper hand on us.
There are lots of things that could utilize that to get an upper hand on you. There are
something specifically that would have the ability, that might have access to something that powerful as well.
John,
sure,
to
like,
answer your question, 100
sorry.
minutes. No, I'm sorry. I was just gonna answer him. 100 minutes.
I'm sure that I'm sure that regular shadows and stuff would have be more or be benefited by something like that, but they wouldn't have the ability to, create something of that nature.
No, to truly create something like this, you either have to be exceptionally powerful, or there has to be something that has manifested this curse in this area. It would take some kind of ritual or other sort of miserable circumstances to bind darkness to the land like this. And if you're looking at it correctly, and I remember the spell's description correctly, give me a second, I will make sure.
Also, I guess, when I was researching the how the land became tainted, do I remember roughly where it initially started?
No.
Okay.
Not from a map perspective.
Okay. Because I was trying to figure out, how close to that, would have been. Maybe there was some tie.
I thought we found out that it was there was an entrance into Sierra Savant where they.
That's
a whole different thing. That's an unrelated topic.
Okay.
Yes, we did find that out. I think it's near the town, or there's a house.
No, it's
the capital.
It is close to the capital. It's towards the outskirts of the capital.
It was a town or a house on the outskirts of the capital that has a tunnel beneath it.
But yeah, there are creatures that also do have the ability to see through even the most, the deepest of darkness. And those creatures would have an advantage in that circumstance over anything that cannot.
Do I have any idea of what creatures those might be?
Give me a... You rolled a
we still have 5
knowledge
days,
per
right?
Arcana. Oh no, it was from earlier. Give me a 1 knowledge... give me a knowledge nature and a knowledge... the planes.
Alright, one moment.
Planes.
Okay.
And I believe that, if I remember correctly, that allows me to do that. I have pooled...
Could I assist him with the nature part of it?
Yes. Well, you can make your own nature check, and we'll see. We'll apply in whichever direction we need to.
So that'd be a total of 29 on my nature.
Let me see here. I'm trying to find the thing that I'm looking for.
You mean to wait on the Para Arcana one then?
No, go ahead and give me that as well.
Okay.
I'm very annoyed because I can't find the thing that I'm looking for.
But... God, that one is really good.
Now if I could just find... If I could remember what it's called. It's on a creature I don't remember. Go to take a better notes. Just do it this way. Oh, where did I put that? Sorry. So you know that there are creatures that would have things like life sense, that could simply identify creatures that are living within a certain range, and that there are certain ways that that could be inferred upon creatures, or like shared into other creatures. With your knowledge para arcana check, you know that there is something much more problematic that could be used to track a person. People exude a certain sense of self. They have a aura that they express in their very existence, and things that are in tune with a sort of layer just above the level of the material plane, one that's kind of bound within it. Those creatures that can see the very absence of sanity can find those like themselves, and can see those like themselves better than they can see other people. Something that you know Elizabeth was particularly good at before all of this happened.
That's concerning. Make sure to specifically mention that.
Yeah. You would know you have a limited ability to do this yourself. You have aura reading as part of one of your traits from the...
Well, hot damn.
psychic sensitivity stuff.
That is a very good point.
But you do know that reading the aura of things that are particularly twisted can impart some of their malady upon you.
While we're kind of like going over these ideas of what to do and all this stuff, or while we have some downtime, I suppose I will do this to Gul'ran because he seems more pious than the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
So I will do that. I will test it out to see. I think I've used this once or twice before, but not very often.
Yeah, so I believe, has Gul'ran taken sanity damage yet?
I think like 1 or 2. Let me double check. 94 sanity score, so 6 damage. I think you start with 100, right?
You start with your wisdom score times 5.
Wisdom score times 5. So yeah, I think
before your headband would have been applied, so that would be about right. So yeah, you'll see a very faint aura upon Gul'ran that is kind of twisted. You can see like his normal aura, but you'll notice like this little kind of taint of twisted kind of gray and black and like this just kind of amorphous shape that kind of rolls throughout his body.
A very minor one.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll kind of explain what's going on while I'm doing it. Oh, that's for objects. Never mind. Interesting. Yeah, I'll kind of just give a brief explanation of what I'm doing and what I'm seeing. Because also I figure if I do this on myself, that'd be difficult and problematic at best. Or the magic lady that's made of magic, or the one that's a fae, or the one that has taken tons of sanity damage.
I think it'd be way more interesting to see what those ones have to say.
Oh, I don't have enough sanity to spare for something like that, though.
I mean, out of character, I'm so curious what mine would do with whatever happened with what I took from Elizabeth, but I don't think we really realized that I took it from her. But I'm technically full sanity, so I don't know how that, like...
My 29 sanity, I don't know if I want to test that at the moment before we go into there.
50 out of 50. Maybe.
33.
Possibly. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I think I am.
Would we know, do shadow creatures, are they stronger in the darkness?
Shadow creatures are stronger in magical darkness. They are much harder to find and attack in regular darkness, but because in this world, shadows and shades and similar like dark creatures are sort of chaos and darkness kind of embodied into existence via magic. They can feed off of arcane darkness. This is why this is another reason it was particularly difficult to defeat the shade that Ivy had fought.
Is there anything that I know that we were talking about, like outfitting Khatri in the other game? Is there anything that I could outfit on Hunter, like that would have like cold iron, that would give Hunter like cold iron?
So the same issue kind of applies here to getting the stag silver. It's really just you could put Bane on like some wraps, and it's even harder with a bite attack to do wraps, because if you make a muzzle, it doesn't exactly help the dog bite.
Just little teeth caps for him.
Yeah, but with antlers, it makes sense because they point up and you can wrap around them.
And you're stabbing into things.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to do this with bites and make it work. So I can try to think on something.
Okay.
but so far I haven't come up with any ideas I particularly like.
I don't have a whole lot to spend anyway, so it's possible I couldn't even afford it. Like, I only have like about 2,000-ish gold or so. But I just wanted to ask if there was something, since we know for sure that cold iron would be good, if there was something that I could outfit Hunter with to help with that.
I will continue to think on this, because that was something that came up when I was trying to think of the whole like realm of why is it that there isn't good gear for companions.
Yeah.
Gotta rob a jewelry store and tell them to make you a grill. That's how that works, right, Steve?
We're just talking about all kinds of crimes here. We're supposed to be like the law enforcement, and we're all like, oh yeah, let's rob a bank. Let's rob a jewelry store.
Look, I'm borderline. Well, actually, I feel like my alignment probably doesn't represent what I really am anymore. So I'm a pretty chaotic character, so I'm definitely not within the law.
And the law.
Well,
yeah, me too.
Let's give you guys an extended amount of time to think on this. Yes?
Real quick, the discount for purchasing scrolls
is 10%.
10%. Okay.
Yep.
I'm gonna buy that location scroll real quick.
Okay.
Are we going to visit what's his face on the edge of town next week?
That will be up
So why
to
not?
us.
Just touch base with them.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thanks for watching.